a introduction or an example on modeling a desk with Nurbs. I'm going to use this desk as an example. For this basic Nurbs assignment, you're not going to need to do like a whole lot of detail to it. We're looking more for a overall look of a desk. This one's going to be pretty simple, so I probably won't be getting these little handles, but I will see what I can do with that. With that, we're gonna be using a loft lathe or the extrude tool. So let's go ahead and get into it. For this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be using a loft tool. So I'm gonna, since I know that that's what I want to use. Actually, I'm going to use the extend tool. Not the loft. This one, the extrude tool, and then maybe I will use the loft tool to see if maybe I can get some handles going on with that, and then I'll probably use an extrude for the legs themselves. So I'm going to have this first one is going to be extrude top. I'm going to have this loft be loft handles, and then I'm going to have this one be legs, extrude legs. Alright, so I'm going to need to get some curves, spline curves to get these working. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start from the top. For this one, I'm going to use a basic square. Let's see how. Let's go ahead and make it editable, so that way I can change the size of it. So it looked, if I kind of just eyeball it a little bit, it's definitely more rectangle than anything else. I think it's a little bit skinnier. So like I said, I'm just eyeballing it, see what's going on. This looks good. Alright. Now I have this rectangle and top spline, and I'm going to add this into the extrude top. Alright. Now I need to go to the extrude top. I need to go ahead and make sure that my movement area is correct. I don't need it to move in the Z, but what I do need is to extrude from the Y. So as you see, I'm going to go ahead and put on the lines that as I add thickness or more movement to the Y, the thicker it's going to get. So that looks like a good, decent size. And I'm just going to lift it up. And so that kind of looks like a good spot for it to be. And let me take another look at the desk. It's actually a lot thicker, so we're gonna add the movement speed. Let's try to double this. So we'll do 100. Let's see what we got to look at it here with the desk. I would say probably a little bit more. So let's do like 130 here. I'm just eyeballing this. You know, there's no. We don't really have to get exact numbers with this to work. Alrighty. So then now we have that, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create some legs for this. So for this particular thing, what we're going to see is that I need to go to the front, and I'm just going to make some splines. And if I look at the legs again with the desk, they look very, very simple. So we're just going to get some rectangles here. I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle. I'm going to make it editable. I'm going to go ahead and kind of resize them. I'm going to try to get it to the point where it's going to hit the floor, and we're going to let it go up a little bit into the actual top. It's perfectly fine. Alright, so we got this one, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this rectangle, we're going to name this leg, and I'm going to extrude a leg out of it. It's going to work with the going into the Z spot, but I want to make it a little bit thicker, just so it's more of a square look to it. And all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to kind of play with this value here, so it kind of looks like it's, let's put 50 in, there we go. That's actually a square. Now your number may be different depending on what's going on and whatnot, but that's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to position, while I have my extrude selected, I'm going to position this to the corners. Now it's okay if it goes into the top a little bit, it's perfectly fine. And this image, no, not this, this looks like it's flush. So we're going to go ahead and bring this up. Try to get as flush as possible. We can get to a different orthographic view to kind of see if we can get it pretty flush. And all I'm really doing is I'm changing the orthographic view, so from the front and from the right, so I just have to worry about those two values. I could actually have done this from the top as well. So now if I look at it, that I have this look to it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, I'm going to do Control C, Control V, so I have a copy now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the top view here. Now that I have the extrude ones located, I'm just going to move it across this way. So now that I have it positioned in the right spot, I might move it down just a tiny bit so the other one's kind of the same spot. Alright, now I have my two legs. The very easy thing that we're going to do is, now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two legs, we're going to go copy and paste them both, and now I have two duplicates for these two legs, and now I have these two selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the top, I'm just going to go ahead and move them over to the side a little bit, try to get the same spot, and there you go. Alright, so we have a basic desk. This is pretty simple, just using the extrudes, but now if you want to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to create a null, and I'm going to name this null a legs, and I'm just going to take these extruded legs and just throw it in there, so it just makes it nice and clean for us. And then I'm going to work on the handles. Now I'm just going to really eyeball this. This is not a something that is 100% that we need to have looking. I'm going to guess, but just by looking at it, that they kind of stick out a little bit more, but they have a little bit of roundness to it. We're going to try to get that with a couple different curves. All right. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create. Let's go with a circle. Alright, so I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to go into the front view, and I'm going to just kind of get this circle small enough so it kind of looks like a hand width. So I'm going to say like right about here is fine. Okay. And we're going to kind of move it over a little bit, and then let's go into a perspective view. We're going to bring it out a little bit right here. Alright. Now if I look at the desk, it looks like it sticks flat, and then it sticks out, comes out, and goes back in flat. So I'm gonna try to get that somewhat there. We're gonna take the same thing, and now what we're going to do is we're gonna take the circle, and I'm gonna copy and paste. I'm gonna copy and paste it, and then I'm gonna bring this pasted one out just a little bit. All right, and we're gonna rotate it just a tiny bit. All right, and then we're gonna get another one. I'm going to copy and paste that one that I just worked on. I'm going to rotate a little bit more, and I'm going to move it over a little bit more as well. And now to get the different looks of it, I'm going to try to get this real close so that when it lofts, it's going to be pretty close. And we'll go ahead and we'll start lofting this so we can kind of see what's going on with it. So remember, the loft works from it goes in order, so you want to make sure that you're lofting in the correct order. So now I already have these kind of looking pretty good. So we're going to continue on with copying and pasting the circles. So I'm going to copy paste, and I'm going to continue to rotate these circles and turn off the loft so I can kind of see where these circles are located. So there we go. And then if I bring this down underneath there and turn on the visibility of the loft again, then I'm starting to curve it out a little bit. So I can actually probably the next one make it a little bit more precise, or not precise, but we're gonna pull it out a little bit more rotation on this. So I don't want to get too much because then it's going to mess with getting a nice smooth turn on that. Alright. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this underneath there too, just so we can kind of play around with it. Alright, so that would work right there. And then I'll just pull it out and wipe to bring it back in a little bit. Okay, so I have a pretty good turn right there with all those curves. And then what I'm going to do is I might just copy and paste all these curves. I'm going to throw them into a null, so that way I can just flip the null. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hide all of these circles. So all the circles I have in the loft are now hidden, and what I see right here is that I have all of these circles. I'm going to take this coordination, I'm going to do a negative scale. Alright, so I did a negative scale on the null, and so what it did with the negative scale, it pretty much flipped these curves. So now if I can bring these curves somewhat closer to the other objects, and supposing, okay, so I'll have to put these in backwards. So now at the legs we want these loft handles. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circle right here and I'm going to add it to this one, and I'm just going to put them in reverse order. Alright, putting these in reverse. Alright, now what you see here is that we have a nice handle. Now this might be a little bit too thick, and I think that what we can do to fix that, we can actually probably make it editable. I'm going to scale up. I'm going to bring this axis up to here. I gotta make sure that I get in the right position. See, I always have to move around just so that you can kind of see what's going on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm changing the axis of this object, and I might go ahead and just make sure that it's pretty center right now, and we might bring it in a little bit more right here. Now why I'm doing this is so that I can go ahead and shrink this a little bit more, just so it's a little bit more flat. We can kind of bring this a little more. That's perfectly fine. Now if I would have redone my curves a little bit more, then I could have I could have reshaped them correctly, but this works pretty fine for what this is. So now I have this loft handle. I did go ahead and I did make it editable, so I did kind of get it out of the Nurbs thing. But I do know that it is still a Nurbs loft. It's perfectly fine with that. And so what I'm going to do to get those extra ones with this picture, we'll take a look at it again. So we have 4 and then 1 in the middle. Alright. I'm going to take this handle, copy and paste it. I'm going to put it over a little bit more. And then what we're going to do, take I'm going to take these loft handles, I'll select them both, copy and paste them. And what we're going to do, these duplicates, is that we're going to throw them into a null, just like I did with the other ones. And I'm just going to do a -1 right here on the X. And now we can see that we have, it's perfectly fine right there. Alright. Now what I'm going to do to, alright, take these and throw them out. Rid of the null. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just duplicate one of these once they're in the closer, and I'm going to just kind of put it in the middle somewhere. Alrighty, so that works pretty good for us for the desk. If you wanted to put the drawers in there, then it's pretty easy to do at that point in time. What you can do is just make some extrudes with some boxes. So to do that, let's go look at the front part, and we're going to make some rectangles. Make it editable. Alright. And okay, so that looks good. Let's just make it a little bit skinnier. Alright, that one looks good. Control X. And we're going to control copy and paste. And we're going to take the other one right here, and I'm going to move it over. I do see that I do have a little bit weirdness with the size of this. So I probably will have to move my handle from the second one over, just so it's a little bit in the middle. Alright, and if I wanted to make sure that I had all these, again, in the same spot, what I can probably do is take this one, that's the second one, and I'll just duplicate this one right here, throw into a null, and I'll take this null and I'll go to -1, bam, different spot, take it out of the null, there we go. So that's back in the same spot again. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is you're going to take these these rectangles, copy paste them, and then I'm going to throw them in a null, and then we're going to do the same thing again. Rinse and repeat so I can kind of get them on the other side. Alright, and we take these out. That, null, get rid of it. Bam, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these rectangles and I'm going to add 4 extrudes to it. I'm going to give each one their own extrude. There you go. And now it is inside this main top loft, so I'll go ahead and I'll show you with the extrude top. I do have these things, but what I'm going to do, just so I can make sure that everything's flush, I want to go ahead and make sure that I make this middle one, which is a different shape than the other one, so it's a little bit smaller. Actually, if I look at it, it looks like these 2 big ones. So we have a small one and then two big ones. Okay, so I'll just have to go ahead and let's try to redo this stuff. So get rid of this one. We'll just get rid of these 2. So I have this one that I'm going to have to redo, and I'm going to get the scaling on it a little bit more. So, oops. There we go. I'm just going to kind of get it so that they're about in the center. That's good. You have that. Copy and paste the extrude. I'm going to put that extrude into a null just so that I can go ahead and again flip it. So that's the exact same spot. Alright, throw that out, throw this out. And now we just want to make sure that the reason why I didn't want to pull those out just yet is that I want to make this rectangle box. So I'll put that pretty close right there. Make it editable. We're going to scale it down. It's more of a square, this particular one. But we want to make sure it's about the same size as the other ones. So to figure that out, there's a couple different ways I can go about doing this. I can probably either do it this way, or I could actually even copy and paste the other spline, actually, which might be a lot better. So we'll take one of those splines out right here, copy and paste it. Oops. I'll copy and paste it, so now I have the exact same rectangle. Push it over to the middle somewhere, and then all I have to do is scale it in the X, and it'll be the exact same height as the other ones. Alright, that's like that. There we go. Have this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and throw it into an extrude. There we go. Now I have my box handle. Throw this down here somewhere. So I have my, there we go. Here's my 3 extrudes that I have. For the box itself, that's all active. We're going to go ahead and take a look at them in the perspective view. They're right here. So we're going to go select all 3 of them. Then I'm going to make sure that in the extrude top I can see what's going on. And then I'm going to move all 3 of these up a little bit, so they kind of poke out just a tiny bit. Alright? So now I have that little bit of a look like I'm going to have kind of a drawer sticking out right there. Alright, so that kind of looks pretty decent. Again, like, you know, these more complex shapes, you have to use other tools, but for the 3 tools that you have for the assignment, that'll work perfectly fine for it. Alrighty. That sounds pretty good.